Hello, and welcome to That Girl's Quilting Threads and Things. Today's quilting project is going to be a decorative pillow cover with a flange on the outside and even one on the inside. So let's get started. Okay, to start this project, what are we going to need? Well, for this project, I'm actually designing my own quilt pillow top for it. So I need my chicken scratch instructions. And what that consists of is cutting pieces. So I have my center panel piece. I have my flange strips. I have the filler pieces that are going to go around the panel piece. Then I have the strips that I'm going to cut out for the flange, for the what we might consider the fringe. Then I have the quilt batting so that I can have a nice, fluffy, firm, decorative pillow. Then, since I'm going to make this an interchangeable pillowcase, right, I want to protect that cotton batting with some backing, so I just have some basic scrap fabric. And then I have the back panel pieces, so I've already cut them up and prepared them. Then, as I trim things up, I need my cutter. I also need a ruler. I need an iron, a sewing machine, and patience. So our first pieces that we're going to do is we're going to apply the flange and we're going to apply the top and bottom pieces of the pattern. So to do the flange, right, I am going to put raw sides of the flange and I'm going to match them up with the raw edge of the bottom of the panel and then raw edge with the top of the panel. Then I'm going to flip this one side piece upside down and align all of the edges together. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to sew starting 1/4 of an inch, leaving this part up and stopping about 1/4 of an inch, leaving this part up. What that will allow me to do is when I go to apply these edge pieces, right, I can then slide this flange piece under here and slide this piece under the other one. And then when I put this piece down, okay, when I go to sew the next edge pieces, these pieces here, right, it will seal all of these raw edges. So there won't be an opportunity for these edges here to start fraying out. Okay. So let's go ahead and apply these first two pieces. Okay, so we have attached our top and bottom piece to our center panel, and we've left enough space so that we can insert our right and left side flange pieces when we go to attach the other sides. So let's go ahead and take this to the pressing station, trim it up, and get ready to attach the other pieces. Just going to line this a lot with the sides. Go trim. All right, now we're ready to attach the side pieces. You know, I see people pinning different ways, and I'm just curious, you know, what is it, why we pin, like, for example, I'm still new at this, but, you know, why do people pin this way? Why do people pin that way, or even go this way? I think in any circumstance, when you pin, it still shifts the fabric some way. But I do know that the best practice or the best mantra for it is really kind of pin where it matters. So if you want points and seams to line up, then and you want to pin, then pin those points and seams. All right, so we are ready to attach the next two pieces. So we'll take it to the sewing machine and we will come on back. Okay, so I've attached my side pieces. My frame is looking nice, and just a little secret, when you're doing scrappy or designing your own quilts, if your quilt top seems to have a bit of an ill character and is in need of a character adjustment, you can do so, and nobody is the wiser. So now we're ready to go ahead and add our final outer edge pieces that will make up our fringe or our flange, whatever you call it. What is the right term? Is it a flange or is it fringe? I think it's interchangeable, but let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put my two strips together so that I have one continuous piece. I'm going to attach it all the way around like so, and then come back, give it a good press, and our quilt top of our pillow project will be complete. Let's go ahead and line these up. So I'm going to go ahead, right sides together, right sides together. All right, and then we'll do a 1/4 inch seam allowance for these two sides. Then we'll come back, we'll press it open, measure the distance, and we'll attach our final two pieces. All right. Okay, so we got the top and bottom down. Now we need to add the two sides. So we just want to make sure our measurements are right. Okay, so we have a measurement should be roughly, okay, so we have 19 3/4. So 19 3/4 two times. We'll attach those to the sides. Come back and press. Our quilt top will be ready. Let's sew it on. Okay, we have it sewed on. Let's go ahead and take this to the pressing station. And there we have it. There is our quilt top. So now we're ready to go ahead and make our quilt top sandwich so that we can quilt it. And I think a very simple stitch in the ditch approach will be appropriate for this quilt top, because we don't want to, for me, I want to highlight the panel as opposed to highlight the quilting design. So to make this quilt sandwich, all right, we need our other pieces. All right, so we'll need our batting. And as I said, this is a pillowcase that is intended to be taken off and removed, maybe laundered or whatever. So to avoid the fraying and wear and tear of the batting, we're going to also apply a backing. Okay, so for our quilt top, let's go ahead. We're going to lay our quilt top face down. We're going to take our batting. We're going to put that down. All right. And depends on what you want to do. This is good. What this is going to do is this is going to allow, with the quilt sandwich and the batting being the same size as the quilt top, when we go to make our fringe, when we go to sew around this part here that's going to make our fringe, it will make it nice and stiff and stand up and stand straight. Okay, so we have that. And last we have the backing. So I'm gonna take and apply the backing. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and flip it over and we'll pin in place. And just, just a couple areas to keep it from moving around. It doesn't take much. This is a small project. You could use pins, basting pins. Okay, now it's pinned and ready to quilt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a light stitch all the way around the very, very outer edges to help keep it in place. And then I'm going to probably just kind of stitch in the ditch along the major seams inside of the flange here, and maybe a little something in here just to kind of secure the batting and the backing together, but nothing fancy. So I will see you in a stitch. All right, so we've done a light quilting on our pillow top, and now we're going to go ahead and cut off the excess fabric and then get ready to do our back panels. So to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a ruler, and I'm going to just kind of align it up with the edge, make sure that the ruler is straight, and just basically trim off the excess fabric. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're actually ready to go ahead and put on our back pieces. So for our back pieces, right, I've already cut mine. So what I did was I cut a piece of fabric, which was the total finished length. Okay, so in this case, it's 16, 20, 21 and a half inches, or 16 to 20 inches. So I cut it just a little bit bigger, plus like 21 inches, and then I added approximately 4 inches for overlap. So when you are doing your pillow, right, you want to have an overlap of basically so that you have, when you go to stuff your pillow, the pillow's not pushing it out and exposing it, right? So you want to have a little overlap. If you have a really thick pillow and it's thick and it's firm, then you want to cut a little bit more of an overlap, compensate for a little bit more of an overlap. So 4 inches is usually pretty good, but again, if you have a really super thick pillow and it's really firm, then you might want to cut 6 inches of overlap. So if this is a 21 square quilt pillow top, right, I would want to cut it 21 inches wide by 26 inches long. And then when I cut it, I would hem the raw edges, and then I would hem both raw edges, and that way it prevents fraying. And then I have a nice little overlap so I can tuck the pillow inside of it. And if there's any bulk or whatever, it's not exposing the pillow. It still has a nice envelope effect. So we have our quilt top here. Let's do it this way. I want to see my bicycle. All right, so we have our quilt top here. And then we're going to take our 2 pieces that we cut for the back, for the envelope back, and we're going to lay right sides down, and we're going to put the larger flap down first, and then we're going to put the more narrow flap down second. Okay, And then what we'll do is we are going to basically sew 1/2 of a seam allowance all the way around the edge. And then we're going to flip it inside out and give it a good press. Okay? So we finished sewing around the edges. I did a little extra stitch along these sides right here just to kind of reinforce the flap a little bit. I also cut the corner bulk off on the outside so that when I go to turn it out, it's a little bit more, the corners are a little bit sharper. So we're ready to go. So I'll use my reach inside here, the first flap. All right, well, there. Use my little turn tool. This is a nice tool. Don't push too hard because you don't want the point will still go through the fabric. All right, so I'm just working that out. Have a nice, sharp, crisp corner. I'll grab the next one. Push with my finger. Okay. Use the turn tool to get that corner as sharp as possible without poking through. All right. And like to do that. Okay. Then the next corner. And the same process, just continuing to go all the way around. All right. Oh, that came out really nice with just a finger. Okay. Same thing. Grab that. Push with my finger. The less I got to poke on the corners, the less of a chance that I have of actually poking through. All right. So now we have the back, the envelope. I really love this print. This is just really, of all of the fabric lines that I have seen and everything, like this one really reached out to me. It's just so fun. Okay. But there we have it. There's our pillowcase. All right, we're going to give it one more final press. Okay, I'm going to press these seams, these edges out really nice. Going to try to work and roll them out. Press them out really, really good. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine for one last round robin of quilting. And what we'll do is we're going to actually sew right along that trim line, right? And that's what's going to give us our nice, thick, firm flange. Now we can stuff the pillowcase. All right. Grab those corners. Grab those corners. And there you have it, our finished quilting project, our 16 by 16 pillow with a decorative flange on the outside and on the inside. I even made another one to go along with it. These are so cute and I had so much fun designing it. Thank you so much for joining me on this quilting project. I hope that you got something out of it, and I definitely look forward to your comments and feedbacks as I grow and learn in my quilting. May all of your quilting journeys be joyful, one stitch at a time.